Today's been a trading range day that ended up, the first half is a triangle. All right, we can see line drawn from the highs and then line drawn from the lows. And then these two lines meet. When you have a triangle, often that first breakout will fail and then the market reverse back to test the apex of the triangle. So right here, I drew in this white line to represent that. So the market, when it breaks out, it usually comes back to that. And you can see we had 3 bull bars breaking out, but this breakout was likely to fail, not only for the triangle, but also because we are in a trading range day and we were getting high up in the trading range. So we see a couple of these tails trying to poke above the high of this bar, and that's a failed breakout of the high end of the triangle. We've had a couple legs back. We'll probably still have more to come back and test this apex. If not today, there's a good chance later this week that it would test. For a triangle this large, if it doesn't come back and test it the same day, usually within a few days, it'll come back and test it. So I'm going to leave this line on, and I'll watch for if the market starts moving back towards this direction, then this line would act as support. So looking at the beginning of the day, 3 bull bars, and the first one is fairly large. So when you get consecutive bars on the open like this, especially after a big gap down, a lot of the times you'll see the market end up having a pretty strong rally that goes above the close of the prior day. But before that rally happens, it'll have a deep pullback that would sell out the bulls, that would scare out the bulls. So let's say bulls bought through here. They should try to hold on through this pullback, because this kind of pattern happens a lot where you have a big gap down and you get a couple bull bars, and then the market will have this deep pullback that goes more than 50%, and it almost comes back to the open, and then just ends up reversing up strongly. And then once it does get above the moving average, usually there's a second attempt to scare the bulls out, which was right here. And that wasn't very strong. It's usually even stronger than that. But then market continued up. So that's something that hasn't happened too much lately, but I know from experience that this is something that will happen. So when I see big gap down and 2 bull bars, I'll watch for this deep pullback to happen and then see if that fails. And then market usually has a pretty good run up. Ended up, I'm going to remove these triangles. So looks like this ended up being if we draw a measured move up from this low to this high, this is kind of where we were trying to get up to, and it's also the previous day's high. Market couldn't quite get there, pulled back a little bit, had a double top. So it's a lower high double top. This double top is happening lower than this high. So the bulls were struggling to get prices up, and that ends up having a pretty large sell-off down. After a sell-off of this size, you would expect to get at least a little bit more down, or a second leg of some sort. And this is that second leg. It's much weaker than this, and this is all the bears could come up with is this leg here. And that's kind of the theme of the last few weeks, is that big sell-offs like this are bought. They're not having very good follow through. So I would really avoid trying to sell into big sell-offs like this, because the market that we're in is that these sell-offs are being bought. You can see it was bought, and then we got 2 legs up like this. Before we go too much further, I want to talk about this trade that I have marked here. Part of the reason for buying here is, like I was saying through here, we're expecting prices to go higher. Now at this point, we're above the moving average. We pulled back and tested the moving average. Now we're heading higher, and then we have a follow-through bar closing near its high and closing above the prior high. So to me, that's a good buy above that. Right, you can put your stop below it and try to go for 5 points. And I think that buy there makes a lot of sense. Not too many other real good trades, I thought, from today. What about buying here? I'd rather not. Let me put the triangle back on. So we have this triangle here. Once again, when the triangle forms, the breakout normally fails. And I do expect us to have more down. Even if it's not today to test here, I would expect later this week that would happen. So since I'm expecting us to be pulling back, I'm not too eager to be buying here. Another reason to not be buying here is that we are in this trading range. And we'd be buying higher up in the trading range. So I'd rather be avoiding that. The context was different, where this breakout was above this high, and then these pullbacks were instead testing this high. So if it was up here and it was finding support at this high, then I would be interested in buying there. But you can see we failed to break out above it, and now we're pulling back. And we just don't have enough, I think, to think that the market's going to be breaking out and having more up. It could, but so far it's a failed breakout, and we're still expecting a deeper pullback to test this apex. I had let the Discord know here right when the apex, when the triangle was closing, and you can see after that the breakout happened, but then that breakout failed. So, it got 3 bars up, and, someone that maybe had bought early would have made profit. But what if the breakout was down instead? Then, they would have been on the opposite side of that. They would have been on the wrong side. So I'd rather not try to predict the direction when you're inside of the triangle. I'd rather let the breakout happen and then either wait for it to test back and trade from there, or bet on the breakout failing. So, an idea might be to sell below this. And you could probably sell here for a scalp and then sell more higher as long as the breakout doesn't get confirmed and continue up. So you could sell here for a scalp, and if that doesn't work, sell more higher. And I think in most cases you're going to be okay, and that's going to be a good trade if you trade small and manage it correctly. You can see, like, if you would have sold here, you would have gotten your scalp with, no issue. On the daily chart, on the 24-hour chart, yesterday was a strong bull bar, and the market wants to see what's above that. And so this is the high from yesterday there. So we haven't got right there. So we haven't gotten up there yet. And I think unless this market turns down right here and starts to sell off pretty strongly, I think later this week we'll want to try to get above that. Because let me show it again. That's a good looking buy signal. It's a closing near its high, possible double bottom here. So I think the market at least wants to get above that to see, are there more buyers or sellers? The concerns are that we are higher in a trading range, and now this is a big bull bar. So how eager would buyers be to be buying high up in a trading range and after a large bar? Their reward's going to be smaller because they're high up, and their risk is larger because this bar is big. So the market probably just wants to get up there just to see what orders are there, and it could just be a drive up to get the liquidity, or there actually could be a lot of buyers up there that are interested in holding and pushing the market up. So either way, I think market's right in the middle of 2 prices that it wants to get to, and it'll probably get to both of those this week. Even if it goes up, it'll come back and test this apex of the triangle. So I hope that was valuable to you and gave you some context for today. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments, or just let me know on the Discord, and I'd be happy to answer them for you. Thank you, guys. See you tomorrow.